All right, welcome. My name is Laurie Groh, and today we have Julia Frank with us. Week 3 today, mental rehearsal. So I'm going to just say thanks to Julia for running this today, and I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for coming. And today we're going to continue with our topic of visualization, but this week we're going to shift to talking about mental rehearsal. Before we get started, just a brief introduction. My name is Julia Frank. I'm a master's student and a counseling intern at Shoreside, and I'm currently in the final semester of my master's in clinical mental health counseling program. And I'm at Marquette University, and I'm specializing in child and adolescent counseling. I began my internship at Shoreside last January, and I really like using visualization as a mindfulness technique with clients to help ease their anxiety symptoms and build their self confidence. So, just a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about today. We'll do some introduction about mental rehearsal, we'll talk about benefits of it, some real life examples, different tips for using these techniques. And then we're going to go through and actually practice some mental rehearsal together. And then you'll all have an opportunity to debrief the experience. We'll talk about some key points for continuing this practice going forward, and then we'll wrap up with any final reflections, and there will be time for questions if anyone has any. So just to get started, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about mental rehearsal? 1 could be you don't like it at all, or maybe you've never heard of it, and 10 being that you love it and you use it all the time. So if you'd like to share, go ahead and type your answer and a brief explanation if you'd like in the chat, and then we can go ahead and move forward. Lori said a 10. It's her favorite. I like this one too. I feel like it's can be helpful for a lot of different circumstances. Okay, so what is mental rehearsal? Mental rehearsal is you picturing yourself going through maybe a routine, a performance, a competition, or a challenge. And this process improves your performance by preparing your mind for the actual event. So some of the benefits, cognitively, it can be used to facilitate decision making and problem solving skills. It's also been shown to help improve memory retention and recall. And this is because it activates the same areas of your brain that seeing it in real life or actually doing it in real life does. Mentally rehearsing any skill, whether it's a dance routine, shooting a basketball, giving a speech, strengthens those neural pathways needed to complete that action in real time, which then leads to improvements in your real world performance. It also improves your focus and concentration. And this is because of the detail oriented nature of visualization, which sharpens your ability to focus on whatever task it might be. Some emotional impacts. Visualization can increase optimism and other positive emotions. It increases regulation of more challenging emotions such as anxiety or feeling overwhelmed. It can also increase your motivation and your self-confidence. And this is because when you visualize yourself succeeding, you build your self-confidence and a stronger commitment to achieving those goals in real life. And then visualizing yourself accomplishing goals can also make them feel more tangible or within your reach. So if you have a goal that might feel kind of far-fetched or not super feasible at this time, actively visualizing it or practicing imagining yourself achieving that goal can make it feel more attainable in your real life. And then some behavioral and physical or mental health impacts. Practicing visualization, especially mental rehearsal, can reduce stress and anxiety. It eases the mind and allows you to mentally rehearse calm responses to stressful situations. It promotes better sleep and relaxes the mind and body. And it can also support healing and recovery, often from any sports or performance related injuries. And then lastly, by practicing mentally and creating this sense of familiarity with any sort of task or challenge you might be facing, you can begin to counteract the stress response that your body might have in that actual situation and then perform more confidently in those situations in real life. So there's a couple examples here that I thought were really helpful and really good examples of how practice of mental rehearsal repeatedly can lead to some pretty significant results. Michael Phelps, I'm sure everyone knows who he is, super great, well-known Olympic swimmer. He used mental rehearsal a lot throughout his training. He visualized every dive, stroke, and turn of his races. He mentally rehearsed what the perfect race would look like, as well as how he would handle any obstacles that came his way. In the 2008 Olympics, his goggles filled up with water during his race, but he was able to remain calm and count his strokes to the finish line just like he had practiced. And that led to him winning the gold. So really strong example of how that repeated mental rehearsal helped him handle a stressful situation effectively and limit that stress response that he would have had otherwise. Lindsey Vonn, another Olympian, famous skier, she mentally rehearsed her races similarly to Michael Phelps. She visualized every turn, bump, and obstacle that she might face. And a unique aspect of this is that she stuck with it consistently even when she was injured. So even that mental rehearsal while she was injured and not actively practicing still helped her maintain that confidence, stay mentally sharp, and stay adaptive to any obstacles that she might face when she was back on the hill racing. Her visualization practice helped her to manage her nerves in the moment and also increased her adaptability to challenges she would face down the road. So, some research about mental rehearsal. In 2004, the Cleveland Clinic did a study called From Mental Power to Muscle Power, Gaining Strength by Using the Mind. And in this study, they divided all the participants into two groups. One of them physically practiced a simple finger pinching exercise, and the other group simply mentally rehearsed it. So they weren't actually doing it in real life. They were just imagining that they were doing it. And after the experiment, when they measured the finger strength of all the participants, those who mentally rehearsed it had very similar increases in finger strength as the group that actually did it in real life. So this really goes to show how mental rehearsal can lead to those physiological changes in the body, and not only that like mental shift in adaptability and confidence. So what can you use mental rehearsal for? There's a wide range of things you can use it for, but I feel like some common ones that people might want to use it for could be any sort of like presentation or lecture that you might have to give, whether that's through work or school, difficult conversations or confrontation. So if you're someone who has social anxiety, maybe you need to have a confrontation with a boss or with a coworker or even with a family member. You can use mental rehearsal to kind of rehearse what that conversation might be like, to go over the key points that you want to say and practice being able to say those things or have that conversation while remaining calm and without letting that anxiety take over. More broadly, you can use mental rehearsal for any situation that could cause anxiety. So maybe you're afraid of heights or afraid of flying or public speaking. You can use mental rehearsal to practice what it might be like to be in those different situations and then build that confidence and limit that stress response in the moment when you are faced with those different anxiety inducing situations. And then, of course, any sort of performance, whether it's artistic or athletic, dancing, singing, playing an instrument, and then any sort of sport, you can use mental rehearsal to build confidence in those skills as well. And then for anyone who might be in school or who might have to take any sort of licensing exam for their career, you can use mental rehearsal to build confidence in those situations as well. So before we get into practicing, I wanted to go over some specific tips that you can use while we practice a mental rehearsal. So first, we want to define a clear goal or a purpose for your visualization. So the one that we're going to do today is pretty broad. And so it's really up to you to pick a specific scenario that you feel like you really want to mentally rehearse. So whatever it is, make sure that that's clearly defined from the beginning so that you can continue to focus on that situation throughout the duration of the visualization. Second, you want to get into a relaxed state. So whatever a comfortable position looks like for you, could be sitting, laying down. You can close your eyes if it's desired, take some deep breaths, whatever it takes to really clear your mind and get into that comfortable position. Third, you want to engage your senses. So vividly imagine what you might see, hear, smell, taste, and or feel in that situation that you're imagining. The more that you get your senses involved, the more your brain will remember what it feels like to be in that scenario, and the more it'll translate to that real life experience later on. Fourth, you want to focus on your emotions, especially in the circumstance of how achieving that goal or making it through that challenging situation might feel, whatever emotions it might be. Is it confidence, joy, peace? And also notice if there's times throughout the visualization where you doubt yourself, where you feel more anxious than others. That can kind of clue you into what parts of this might be more challenging, what might you want to focus on more in the future. And then lastly, you want to address any potential obstacles that you might face. So you're not only mentally rehearsing everything going perfectly, but you want to think about what potential obstacles might come up. So if you're giving a presentation, mentally rehearse what might happen if you're having issues getting your slides up on the screen, or you forget your note cards or whatever it is. Thinking through those situations and how you might react calmly really translates to that in life, or in that real life, I don't know what the word is, the real life practice of that specific situation. So focus on handling those situations calmly and effectively. In the visualization, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you're feeling stuck with it, you can kind of go back and think of a different way that you might handle it, or you can continue to revisit it as you practice that scenario more and more in the future. Okay, so we're going to take a few minutes to practice some mental rehearsal. I'm going to ask everyone to call to mind a current goal, challenge that you might be facing, or an upcoming event that's causing you anxiety. Throughout the script that I'm going to read, you're going to visualize yourself achieving this goal, facing this challenge, or succeeding at whatever this event might be. Once again, you want to focus on your senses, what obstacles might arise, how you might navigate them, and what emotions this is going to bring up for you. Okay, so find that comfortable position. Think of whatever it is that you might want to focus on. And then take a slow, deep breath in and gently exhale. Close your eyes or take a soft gaze at whatever's in front of you. Allow your body to settle into the chair or the ground. Relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw, and let your hands rest comfortably, either at your side, in your lap, maybe on the table in front of you. Take another slow breath in and release it fully. Now begin to imagine yourself on the day of this upcoming goal or important moment. Take a moment to look around and see where you are. Notice the details in the environment around you, the light, the sounds, the temperature of the air around you. Notice how you feel calm, grounded, and prepared for this challenge. Picture yourself either standing or sitting with a strong and confident posture. Notice how your breathing is steady and your mind is clear. Now watch as the event begins. Watch yourself moving through it with confidence and ease. You know exactly what to do. You respond naturally and effectively. If a challenge appears, notice how calmly you handle it. You pause, you take a deep breath, and you adapt smoothly to whatever obstacle has come your way. Feel the quiet confidence in your chest as you move through this event. Feel the focus in your mind. Hear how your voice is steady and clear, and see how your actions are precise and capable. Notice how everything flows smoothly. You are present, you are capable, you are ready for this challenge. Now, imagine the moment going exceptionally well. Visualize the outcome that you desire. Notice the details of the environment around you, the expressions on others' faces. Notice how the results are unfolding in your favor. Feel the sense of accomplishment spreading throughout your body. Notice what emotions you're feeling. Maybe it's pride, relief, gratitude. Whatever it might be, take a deep breath and anchor this feeling. Let it sink deep into your muscles, into your nervous system, and into your memory. Notice how this feels familiar now. You've been here before, and your mind knows this path. Take one more slow breath in and slowly exhale. When you're ready, gently wiggle your fingers and toes, roll your shoulders, tilt your head from side to side. When you're ready, open your eyes, bringing this confidence back with you. You are prepared. But coming out of that experience, just some guiding reflection questions. What did you feel? What did you think? And do you feel like you might use this in the future? If you'd like to share, go ahead and type it in the chat. Otherwise, just take a minute to reflect on it on your own. Laurie said she feels calm and confident. I could see more things than I thought I could. I feel like the visualizations can be helpful because they kind of guide you on maybe different things that you hadn't considered. It can feel really overwhelming to be like, just off the bat, be like, put yourself in the situation and imagine how it might go. And so having those different aspects to kind of guide you through of like, now imagine what it might feel and how might everyone else around you be reacting and what challenges might come up. And to be able to do that step by step can be really helpful in getting that whole picture of what the situation might actually be like. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on. And we're going to start to wrap up with some important points to keep in mind if you choose to continue practicing this mental rehearsal going forward. Typically, using that first person perspective tends to produce better results than visualizing yourself from that outside perspective. So, really focusing on like being in your body and what does it feel like, what emotions come up, but focusing on being yourself rather than viewing yourself from that outside perspective really really is influential in helping you to mimic those same results that you're visualizing in real life because your body's able to remember like, okay, I've been here before, I felt this before, and this is how I handled it. And it sticks in your brain a little bit better when you're imagining it from your own perspective rather than that outsider perspective. Next, the more vividly you can visualize, the more effective it will be. So 2 key ways that we've already talked about how to do this are trying to incorporate your senses. So what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you hearing? Trying to get that whole environment incorporated into your visualization. And then focusing on the emotions that come up. That will make it more vivid and it will help it to stick with you after the visualization is over. And then lastly, consistency is really key. So the more you practice this visualization, the stronger the neural pathways for whatever task it might be or whatever situation it might be will be. Repeated mental rehearsal of the same task yields the best results. So like we talked about with Michael Phelps and Lindsey Vonn, their races are usually the same, right? So whatever event it might be, it's always going to look the same with the key components that are there. There might be things that would change each time, but like the basics of it are always there. And so they were able to do that mental rehearsal of a situation that's pretty standard every single time and do it over and over and over again and add in those obstacles that they might face or the different challenges that might come along. And so if it's like a presentation that you're giving or a difficult conversation that you might have to have, the more that you practice that specific visualization, the more effective it will be when you actually get to the real moment where your skills are tested and you have to actually give that presentation or have that conversation in real life. So just a little brief reflection before we wrap up. Take a couple minutes to either just think about these questions or if you'd like to jot them down either on a device or on a piece of paper, go ahead and start thinking about how your opinions of visualization may have changed since practicing it, any reflections that you might have on your experiences today, and then any thoughts about how you might use these techniques in the future. We'll give everyone like 2 minutes to think about these and then we'll wrap up and come back together. And if you'd like to share, feel free to put it in the chat, but if not, it's totally fine. Laurie said, I love how you walked us through it and made the rehearsal feel more intentional. It wasn't worried or anxious about the conversation. Yeah, I feel like having those different guiding points of what to focus on can be really helpful and help limit that like anxiety or feeling overwhelmed about whatever situation it might be, especially if you're typically would be envisioning something that is stressful or that does feel hard for you. Of course, you want to try and limit that or be able to effectively manage those feelings while we're just mentally rehearsing it so that when we're in that actual situation, it doesn't feel as hard and we feel equipped and prepared to handle whatever emotions might be coming our way. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed helping everyone learn a little bit more about mental rehearsal, and hopefully you're able to take some of it with you and continue to keep this practice going in your life for any difficult situation that might be coming up for you.
Yes, thank you so much, Julia. And thanks again, Julia. And if you'd like to reach out to Julia, you can check her out at shoresidetherapies.com. And hopefully we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.